Reading from the Gospel according to Matthew. And Jesus said to them, "Keep awake, therefore, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known in what part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and would not let his house be broken into. Therefore you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour. Who then is the faithful and wise slave whom his master has put in charge of his household to give the other slaves their allowance of food at the proper time? Blessed is that slave whom his master will find at work when he arrives. Truly, I tell you, he will put that one in charge of all of his possessions. But if the wicked slave says to himself, 'My master is delayed,' and he begins to beat his fellow slaves and eats and drinks with drunkards, the master of that slave will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour that he does not know. He will cut him into pieces and put him with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." The word of the Lord. Anytime you have a moment where Jesus is comparing himself to a thief in the night, it ought to be catching your attention and making you stop and think, what is Jesus talking about here? And he uses such vivid imagery sometimes, and I think it is to challenge us to awaken us out of our complacency sometimes. And I know quite often I lose mindfulness of the person Jesus is calling me to be in just the cares and concerns of everyday Monday to Friday life, and I grow complacent. And so I need these startling reminders, maybe you do too, where I suddenly hear Jesus saying, like, the Lord might come, the person may come like a thief in the night, and such will be the coming of the Lord, where he will come like a thief in the night, so be prepared. And then he points out that apparently the person who is unaware and going about their business, who's not aware at a moment's notice that they need to be ready, is just as bad as the hypocrites. Which, if you've been following the previous chapter or what I was talking about on Tuesday, you'll see that Jesus has serious problems with hypocrisy. And seemingly this is just as bad. So I wonder if, thinking about it that way, it seems to me that the idea of not being prepared for the coming of Jesus in our lives is in and of itself a kind of a hypocrisy. I often don't go about living my life knowing that at any moment it could all change. And honestly, if I'm being truthful about it, at any moment could all be taken away. I know there'd be different choices that I would be making if I knew that this was the last sermon of the day I would ever be preaching to you all, or if I knew it was the last moment I'd be spending with one of my kids, or if I knew it was my last day at St. James, or if this was my last day on earth. Often I know I would probably be making some different choices sometimes, but it's easy to grow complacent. And in that way, if I am aware that there's something that differently I would be doing if I knew how much this time I should be valuing, and I'm saying I know that, but then I'm not living that way, that is a kind of a hypocrisy. And so that suddenly makes sense when Jesus is talking about how the same fate will happen to this person, where you'll be thrown out with the hypocrites, where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So I had to stop and have these little startling reminders sometimes from Jesus. Not because I'm a bad person, not because I'm not trying hard and doing good things, but that sometimes it's easy to grow complacent, and it's easy to lose track of how valuable and precious this time is. And when I'm reminded of how valuable and precious this time is, to think through if I would be making different choices. If I would be making different choices, time to start making them. Thanks be to God. Amen.